Are you ready for this sickness? Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to Economics and Comics. I'm Bill, the host of Economics and Comics, and this is, wait, the camera's all weird. This is Mike. This is Joel Massey from GoneWithTheTwins.com. They go by the Massey Twins. I wanted to explain something really fast. I am not a film critic. I have a YouTube channel about comic books and pop culture and stuff like that. These are the movie critics. So it's kind of like a normal person versus film critics. We have different ideas. So we just got back. Oh, by the way, if you like this channel and you like this stuff, I always forget, please hit that sub button, hit that like button, and also leave a comment. And if you want to read some great movie reviews, go over to their site, GoneWithTheTwins.com. So, as looking at the screen, you guys, you can see we went and saw Shaft. So, this would be considered Shaft 3?
Shaft 5. Or, yeah.
Or Shaft 2 with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, it's a little strange that they left the title as Shaft because...
They keep doing Shaft over and over.
Yeah, this is basically a sequel to the previous Samuel L. Jackson Shaft, which was directed by John Singleton. And even though it's basically a reimagining, it's a reinventing the character almost, because it's basically a totally different genre than the previous film.
Yes. And let's just look at it this way. Shaft, old school, 70s, 60s, whatever, I can't remember exactly.
71.
71.
Yeah, 71.
Samuel L. Jackson Shaft. That's how I'm going to look at it. I know the other Shaft exists. But Samuel L. Jackson, the Shaft from 2001, was it really that long ago?
2000, yeah.
Because they put 2001 in the movie. They show the credits and they kind of build up the time.
And actually, the 70s Shaft, Richard Roundtree, is in this film. So it's
he's in all of them. He was in the other one too. But
and see, in the other one they called him the uncle or something, right? And this one they kind of retroactively go back and say,
clarify
he's actually the father.
Yeah,
that's a little.
So he's actually grandpa.
It's technically Richard Roundtree's Shaft the first, and then Samuel Jackson's Shaft
which
the
does
second.
kind of make it the fifth film.
Yeah.
But yeah, this, like I said, this one is a totally different genre. I felt that it has that very much of a buddy cop feel. Yeah. So it's almost like a buddy cop comedy, and that's something that this film had that most of the other Shaft films did not have, and that was a heavy dose of comedy.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I thought it worked.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's indicative of they're trying to reinvent this because it's still the same title, right? If they wanted this to be, I mean, it works as a sequel, but it also works as a remake. I think that's what they're trying for, because they're trying to introduce this character that
to a new audience.
Yeah, to new audiences, exactly. Yeah. So, and of course, this is the third time they've done it. So, the 2000 Shaft was also a reintroduction to new audiences. And
it's funny, when I was outside and I was getting my popcorn and drink or whatever, I heard some probably 16, 17-year-olds. I don't know. They're like, one kid's like, "Who's Shaft?" And the other one's like, "Oh, some like cop dude, detective." They had no idea. And I mean, I get it. I mean, 17-year-old that came out when they were born. So,
well, in
Samuel
I always
Jackson.
thought it was kind of interesting that in the original he was a private eye, and in this, the John Singleton one, Samuel L. Jackson is just on the police force.
Yeah.
And kind of at the end of the movie, he quits and becomes
so
a
it's almost
private
like he
eye,
becomes the Shaft that Richard Roundtree, or
except Richard Roundtree is in it, so he's actually his son. So, yeah,
it's a strange
it's
pseudo
cycle,
world.
It's a laugh. That's the last name, guys.
Yeah. To me, the original, the 70s version, it's a crime drama, and because it's a low budget, there's a lot of realism to it. I liked the costumes and the actors, the casting, and everything. By the time you get to the 2000 remake, it's a Hollywood film. There's too much polish. There's too much glamour. You get a sense from the villains in that film, with Christian Bale and Jeffrey Wright. Their characters, there's a lack of realism. And now this film, going even further, this is very much a Hollywood film, but they changed it. It was no longer a serious crime drama. This is, as you mentioned before, it's a buddy cop film. There's so much humor in here. This reinvention is something that feels more natural as a Hollywood film.
It's the most fun.
So, yeah, they've redefined everything. It's no longer.
It's not the Shaft that we've known
gritty.
from the
Yeah,
previous
it's not
films.
the gritty crime
So
fighter.
if you go in expecting it to be the same style as John Singleton's or the original, you're gonna probably be disappointed because it's a totally different type of film.
I didn't like it. I thought it was funny. Look, the first 20 minutes of the movie was horrible. And then Samuel L. Jackson showed his
It does
face.
start slow.
Nick Fury came in, and Samuel L. Jackson came in, and it was joke after joke after joke after joke. It's a comedy now.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are some old 2000 Shaft things. But, and these guys hate Peoples. And from the 2001, they didn't like Peoples and they didn't like Batman. Or
Walter Wade Jr.
Yeah, they didn't like him either. And I kind of didn't like him either. But, dude, I love Peoples.
They're just cartoon characters in
I loved Peoples, dude. I mean, he had the street feel that I know. And you guys think it's more movie, whatever. This movie was not 2000 Shaft. And that let me down. I wanted to walk into that movie and see more.
You can't go into it expecting it to be the same style.
Again, because of the name.
Even though they kept the same name and Samuel Jackson still in it.
Yeah, it's a brand new vision.
Completely new.
It's almost unfortunate that Samuel Jackson is in it, right? Because then there's expectations from.
Well, it's not a revision, guys. It's part 2.
In a way, but
they show a timeline.
They've essentially changed the genre by turning it into a buddy cop comedy.
Well, it's his son. You could say buddy cop, but it's also father-son.
Yeah. That's where a lot of the jokes are derived from.
I get what you're saying. It works as a sequel, but it also works as a remake. And I think because it's just called Shaft, you couldn't really say this is a full-on true sequel because now you got Shaft and its sequel Shaft.
They're all
you could watch this film without having seen any of the others, and it doesn't matter because it's totally
it catches
starting
you
again.
up.
Yeah,
it catches you up.
It has to even go back far enough in time to to show you that he has a kid, because in the John Singleton movie, he didn't
I
have
agree
a kid.
with you. This movie started to come into its own when Samuel Jackson showed up. He obviously has the identity.
Horrible.
He obviously has the persona that we're familiar with, right? And but I think its strength is that he gets to play off of the polar opposite, which is the kid, the new Shaft, John Shaft the Third.
Millennial.
Yeah, so he's an FBI agent, and he hasn't really proven himself in the field. He's a newbie, and so basically, Samuel Jackson's Shaft kind of breaks him in and shows him the ropes of the
how to get it done street style.
Right, yeah, the
no rules,
non fully legal way of doing it. Yeah,
shoot first, ask questions later.
But I think this is where this is its strong point, is that you've got those polar opposites. You've got young versus old. You've got a modern versus old fashioned, and this carries over into the relationship advice that he gets. So there's the father son dynamic. That's
they
very
also
amusing.
that the quantity. They're just it's a joke after joke after joke.
Yeah,
most of them hit. So every once in a while you do get kind of some eye-rolling stuff going on, but just the sheer quantity, you do get some quality out of it, just because they're it's constantly going.
And I would agree with you again, Bill, that the story here is essentially meaningless. It's really, it exists to tie together comic scenes. It exists to allow these characters to interact, so that
it's an everyday crime story.
Yeah, well, I mean, the
bad
story,
guy, good guy.
So there's a character named Kareem. As soon as you see him and he takes a phone call, I'm thinking, well, this character is going off to his doom, and everything that happens is so predictable.
Oh, even the jokes.
The weakest part of the film, and it's this way with a lot of films of this type, is the villains. They basically don't bother to put any kind of effort into creating.
They're just bodies to be shot at.
Yeah.
And here's another thing I've noticed in a lot of our videos. Like, I start to bring up acting, like the actors themselves. These guys should be doing that, okay? And I start digging in, like, the acting was horrible. Like, the first 20 minutes, I was like, oh my god, it's like they're reading a script. And, okay, it's Shaft, guys. People are going to yell at me. It's Shaft. There doesn't really have to be good actors. But I want to at least believe in a villain, or at least believe in anything.
The villains are very cookie cutter. There's
everybody.
No personality.
The best part was the nurse.
I found Jesse T. Usher I thought he did great chemistry with Samuel Jackson. They played off each other very well. It really, what it did is allowed Samuel L. Jackson to shine. He gets the best lines.
It's his movie.
I know. But without Jesse's character, Samuel L. Jackson would not get those great lines. He wouldn't get the great effects.
For me, some of the strongest elements, or the funniest elements, are when he's giving advice to his kid.
Well,
right?
it's totally different.
It's all wrong advice. It's all or rather, as we were talking about this, it's old-fashioned advice. It's very
it just doesn't
outdated.
fit his personality as kind of a preppy millennial character.
But that's what I miss about 2000 Shaft. Is that 2000 Shaft? There were some funny, quick one-liners, and he's a ladies' man and all that. But he's busting ass. He does that in this. But it's like non-stop, line after line after line. They're not going for the Shaft that I knew. The Shaft from the 70s, these are tough. It's the same as Shaft from 2000. Right. It's the same, but they're going like Jackie Chan and was it Chris Tucker? That type of
they're like a Rush Hour type.
Rush Hour comedy, but with not as much action. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I love Samuel L.
Well-
Jackson. He's the best part of the movie, but I expected more.
I mean, again, to me, this part of their idea to redefine things, because the original Shaft is a crime drama. Shaft 2000 becomes more of an action film, but it's still a murder mystery, revenge. This one throws both of those out, and now it's an action comedy.
Yeah.
So,
To me, this was a
Minor
breath
action.
minor
Of,
action.
to me,
yeah.
this was a breath of fresh air compared to the previous Shaft. I know a lot of people love John Singleton's Shaft, but for me, that film was humorless, extremely serious. Now, obviously,
I liked it.
the crime in it is dealing specifically with racism and a hate crime and everything. So, of course, it's serious. But this film is just it purposely takes it in a completely different direction and is trying to be a fun, comedy action movie. And
At the same
for me, I
time, though,
enjoyed it.
it's interesting you said that. In 2000, it was about what you were just saying about
It was specifically
race,
a hate crime.
hate
is
crime,
kind of the crux
stuff
of
like
the,
that, and it was very serious. At the
Yeah.
same time, there's other funny parts and whatever. But in this one, it seems like they're attacking millennials and all the parents of the millennials and the presidency and even homosexuality, whatever. They're
Yeah.
attacking it all and saying it was like kind of saying it's better when it was Shaft time in the 70s when you spanked
Things
your
weren't
kid.
so
or-
overly-
They definitely
Yeah.
embrace old school masculinity, I think, is what they're trying to do. Is
Although
trying to
at
show
the same time, I still feel like they definitely try and get the message across that it's not okay to hit women. It's still, you don't want to be misogynistic. Those things are still there, even though what Shaft does some of the times is very much in that way. So
I don't understand why they were doing all that anyway. They were attacking it though. They were making fun of you guys. If you're watching, 19 to 25, somewhere in that age group, they're making fun of how.
which is interesting, right? Because although this film is based on older properties, the sweet spot has always been 18 to 25. So that's the target audience for this film.
Well,
And-
maybe
but,
that's
but,
why.
but at the
Yeah.
same time, Jesse's character embodies all of those things. So yes, they make fun of him, but he's also the hero. He's the main character.
Yeah.
He triumphs in the
There's
end.
a bit of
so-
a positive spin,
Yeah,
despite mocking.
It's trying to show you that Samuel L. Jackson's ways are outdated, and that Jesse's the new way of doing things is probably better.
can be effective. Yeah.
They say it can be effective, but Samuel L. Jackson also proved the whole time that the old ways are better.
True. Yeah. No.
It was like, no, my file says
There is some clash there. For
conflicted
sure.
messages for sure. Yeah. But again, to me, and I didn't love this movie, but I did like the chemistry of the characters. I did like a lot of the jokes. Again, the story is just meaningless, and I didn't notice a deficiency in the acting, but then again, these characters are not. There's no great lines for them to recite anyway, so I wasn't really thinking about how convincing they are as characters. They're all just jokes.
I think
a lot of stereotypes.
noticeably the villins were, it's not that they're
I think
bad
everyone
actors.
was bad except
they,
Samuel L.
they
Jackson.
just, they had no characters to work with. They weren't given very much dialogue. They weren't given
they're so
anything of
unoriginal.
substance. Yeah. It's just, it is what it is with these kind of.
Samuel L. Jackson makes the movie. It's funny.
But
If you're looking for action and bad guys, forget about it.
yeah, you can't go into it expecting it to be like the 2000s.
And that's sad. I know you guys didn't like the 2000 movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny in its own way. And I expected at least something like that. And I got nothing like that at all. It's more of a good, father-son cop duo, hilarious.
But so I think
Generational-
some people will be disappointed by that. To me, I was refreshed. I thought, it's a interesting new take on the character, because
Well,
maybe,
it's possible they're trying to appeal to the millennials.
yeah, I
I mean,
think
they're
so.
probably
I think so.
trying to appeal to that age group that they make fun of the whole entire
I mean, if
movie.
you look at even like the Fast and Furious movies, that's what's popular. That's what they're trying to copy. Emulate that style of action that's not super serious. There's not a lot.
As
of,
you mentioned, I think a lot of audiences will not be aware that this is
Yeah,
a
they may not
continuation,
even know, yeah.
a remake, a sequel, and nothing. They won't. Be
How many
familiar with
people
Shaft.
know that this is the 5th movie, featuring Shaft? Maybe they wouldn't. Do they know Shaft based on a book? These are the kind of things that the studio probably is aware that their audience may not know about. So, they're pushing forward with a new.
I get it.
A
I
new
get
version.
it. It's just, it makes me feel like a Shaft got soft, or like not Shaft himself, but
Well, that's
Dave-
a euphemism.
it's his duty to please that booty. But no, I mean, it's funny though that I know we're trying to end this, but I'm starting to realize while we're speaking, they're kind of going after millennials, which in the same thing is calling them kind of soft compared to Gen X or before then. And the movie is actually soft too compared to the old Shaft movies.
Yeah, it's
Which
not
is
a,
unfortunate.
It's not a heavy R
because of the humor. I think
violent
they've
type of-
reduced the
yeah.
violence. They've
Also,
reduced the
the
sexuality.
focus. The focus isn't about the same types of things that the previous movies were about. It's certainly, even in the original Shaft, there's a kidnapping, but it's serious, and you are, at the edge of your seat. Are they going to be able to rescue the person? In this one, yeah, the girl gets kidnapped, but you never once think, oh, she's in real
in
trouble.
no danger,
No,
yeah.
you know she's not going to get shot or killed, and you know she's going to make it out. They're going to rescue her. So yeah, there's no severity, there's no edge to it because of that. But that doesn't mean it's not entertaining.
All right, guys. So I'm going to give you my number. Look, I'm going to give you 2 numbers this time. Usually I just give you 1 number. I'm going to give it like a 3 out of 10 just for the movie. Like, it was bad. But an 8 out of 10 for funny. Because it was pretty damn funny. And I'm a funny guy. So I enjoyed that. If you want to check out their numbers, please check them out at gonewiththetwins.com. And that's it. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks
we
for
got
inviting us.
another review coming up. What's the next one?
Men in Black.
Men in Black. Oh, fingers crossed if they can bring it back to the old school. But the way it's looking, we'll see. Hopefully it'll be good. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please hit that like button and subscribe now. Here's another video for your sickness entertainment. Have a great one. Bye-bye.